My name is Laura Evans. I'm 33 years old, and for 5 years I gave everything I had to Stonebridge and Company, a mid-sized marketing firm in Seattle. Late nights, early mornings, weekend calls. And every single year when I brought up a raise, my boss, Megan Turner, smiled that thin corporate smile and said, "Let's revisit this next quarter." Next quarter became next year. Next year became never. But I swallowed it. I believed in loyalty. I believed hard work paid off. I believed in the promises Megan made in glossy staff meetings about growth opportunities and long-term success. I believed right up until the morning I stopped believing. It was a rainy Thursday in March. Typical Seattle weather. I was sitting across from Megan in her office, a glass-walled cube with a skyline view she never stopped reminding us she'd earned. She flipped through some client reports, not even pretending to read them. "Laura, we value your contributions," she said, eyes still on the papers. "But the company's priorities have shifted. Right now, salary adjustments aren't on the table." The same empty words, the same dead smile, the same voice that turned hard when you pushed back. I'd just wrapped a campaign that brought in $2.4 million in new business. My client feedback scores were the highest in the department. I'd trained 3 junior associates, the same ones Megan kept promoting over me. And still, I was making the exact salary I'd started with at 28. I took a breath. Could we set a specific timeline to revisit this? Her eyes finally met mine. Cold, calculated. "Laura, you need to think bigger. We're all making sacrifices. That's how teams win." I nodded, smiled, left her office with my heart pounding in my ears, past the reception desk where Tina was fielding back-to-back calls, past the open floor where junior staffers were glued to their monitors, past my desk, a corner cubicle with 5 years of files stacked high, and a coffee mug that said, "World's okayest employee." I sat in my car for 15 minutes before I started the engine. That night, for the first time in 5 years, I opened my laptop and pulled up job listings. Not to apply. Not yet. Just to see. I scrolled through postings at firms I'd once dreamed about. Companies that offered real development, competitive pay, and didn't treat loyalty like a trap. Market strategist, $110,000. Senior account manager, $125,000 plus bonus. Director of client partnerships, $140,000 with benefits. I bookmarked a few, closed the laptop, told myself it was curiosity, but something had shifted. 3 days later, Megan dropped a file on my desk without a word. The Glenmore Tech account renewal, a $3 million deal. On top of everything else I was managing. With a sticky note, "Make sure they understand our value." Our value. I wasn't worth a cost of living raise, but I was worth closing million-dollar deals on her behalf. I picked up the phone to call Glenmore. Then I stopped. What would happen if I stopped chasing Megan Turner's approval? What if loyalty wasn't a virtue, but a leash? I thought back to when I first joined Stonebridge. When Robert Stone, the founder, still walked the halls. He hired me personally after a 2-hour conversation about brand psychology and market dynamics. "You've got instincts," he'd said. "I can teach skills. Instinct is rare." 6 months later, Robert sold the company to a private equity firm. Megan Turner arrived with her buzzwords and efficiency plans. On her first day, she gathered the staff and talked about streamlining talent, performance-based retention, optimizing human capital. That's when I should have known employees weren't people to her, just numbers on a ledger. At first, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I worked every project she threw at me, took on tasks outside my role, stayed late, and each time she rewarded me the same way. "Great work. You've got potential." Potential. That word lost meaning after the 3rd junior I trained became my team lead. I was raised to believe loyalty earned you respect. My dad spent 40 years at the same auto plant in Tacoma. He used to say, "Loyalty's like interest. The longer you invest, the more it pays off." But Stonebridge wasn't interested in loyalty. They were interested in squeezing every last drop out of people who wouldn't fight back. I'd watched 3 top performers leave in 6 months. I'd watched Megan replace them with interns and call it team growth. The office turned from collaborative to cutthroat. Information hoarded, credit stolen, sacrifices unnoticed. The warning signs had been there. And on that March afternoon, holding Glenmore's file in my hand, I finally saw them for what they were. That night, I clicked apply on a single job posting. Just one. And 3 days later, everything changed. It was a Monday morning when the email arrived. Subject line, interview invitation, Vantage Strategies. I stared at it for a good 30 seconds before opening it. Dear Laura, thank you for your application. We were impressed by your background and would like to invite you for an interview this Thursday at 10 a.m. Vantage Strategies, one of the fastest growing firms in the Pacific Northwest, known for innovation, competitive pay, and actually promoting from within. I felt a flicker of something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. For 3 days, I kept my head down at Stonebridge. I handled the Glenmore Tech account. I stayed late. I smiled at Megan in meetings. But inside, something was different. I wasn't doing it for her anymore. I was doing it for me. Thursday came faster than I expected. I took a personal day, called in and said I had a family commitment. Half-truth. Sometimes you have to be family to yourself. The Vantage office was everything Stonebridge wasn't. Open spaces, natural light, real plants instead of dusty fake ones. The director, Hannah Price, met me in the lobby. Firm handshake, genuine smile. "We followed your work with Glenmore and the Anderson Group," she said as we sat down. "Your retention numbers and client feedback speak for themselves." For the first time in 5 years, someone actually valued what I'd done. No jargon, no empty praise, no next quarter. We talked strategy, client relationships, long-term vision. 2 hours later, Hannah leaned back in her chair. "I think you'd be a great fit here, Laura. The role comes with a 30% salary increase, plus performance bonuses and a development budget." I blinked. "You're serious?" She smiled. "Dead serious. We take care of our people here. If you're interested, we can move fast." I left the interview lightheaded, in the best way. By the time I got home, the official offer letter was sitting in my inbox. 30% more, actual benefits, and a professional development stipend I didn't even know companies still offered. I sat on my couch, rereading the offer. 5 years at Stonebridge, and they'd never even mentioned a raise. Vantage met me once and saw my worth. It was an easy decision. I printed the offer, signed it, and scanned it back. Friday morning, I walked into the office with my heart pounding. I wasn't planning to quit on the spot. I still wanted to give notice, stay professional. But Megan had other plans. At 9:30 a.m., she called me into her office. I stepped inside, half expecting another let's touch base meeting. But her expression was different, cold, sharp. "Close the door," she said. I did. She slid her phone across the desk. An email open on the screen. My LinkedIn profile. A recruiter from Vantage had commented on my post. A harmless, great catching up. Something I hadn't even noticed. Megan's eyes locked on mine. "Care to explain this?" I stayed calm. I applied for a position at Vantage, on my own time, with my own resources. Her lips curled into something between a smirk and a sneer. "So it's true. You've been job hunting behind my back." Behind her back? I wasn't sure when I'd signed a loyalty oath. "Megan, She cut me off. "I don't tolerate disloyalty, Laura. You've made your choice." She opened a drawer and pulled out a form. Your badge access is deactivated as of now. Pack your things. I blinked. You're firing me? For applying elsewhere? I'm terminating your employment for breach of trust. Disloyal employees deserve nothing. The words hit harder than I expected. Not because I was scared, but because I finally saw her for who she was. I stood, smoothed my blazer, and gave her the calmest smile I've ever given anyone. Then I wish you the best of luck, Megan. Her eyes narrowed. I turned, walked out of her office, and out of her control. No argument, no scene. Sometimes the loudest statement is walking away. Monday morning arrived gray and cold, typical for a Seattle spring. I woke up feeling strange, not anxious, not bitter, lighter. After 5 years of pushing through endless meetings, ignored requests, and corporate nonsense, I was officially done with Stonebridge and Company. I started my first day at Vantage Strategies, and the difference hit me the second I walked through the door. No forced smiles, no fake pep talks, just real people, doing real work in an office that didn't feel like a prison cell with free coffee. Hannah Price greeted me personally. We're glad you're here, Laura. And for the first time in years, I believed someone meant those words. My onboarding wasn't a generic slideshow. It was a one-on-one conversation about goals, expectations, and what success would actually look like. And when we reviewed my client list, Hannah leaned in. One more thing. We've heard Glenmore Tech is shopping around for new firms. I raised an eyebrow. Glenmore? They've been with Stonebridge for years. Hannah smiled. Not anymore. Apparently, their new account manager isn't meeting expectations. A strange mix of curiosity and quiet satisfaction stirred in me. Megan had reassigned my accounts the moment she fired me. Probably dumped them on some junior she could control. I wondered how that was going for her. Later that afternoon, I got a message from an unfamiliar number. Laura, this is Nathan Kim from Glenmore Tech. Are you available to discuss a possible consulting partnership? I stared at the text for a long moment before replying. Absolutely. Let me know when works for you. I didn't need to ask what had happened. I already knew. By Wednesday, we'd scheduled a meeting. Glenmore's CEO, Nathan Kim, didn't waste time on small talk. We sat across from each other in a sleek downtown conference room, his assistant quietly closing the door behind us. I'll be direct, Nathan said. Since your departure, the service level at Stonebridge dropped fast. Deadlines missed, communication delays, it's been frustrating. I kept my expression neutral. I'm sorry to hear that. He leaned forward. I'm also aware of how much you handled personally, and how much we valued that. His meaning was clear. We're open to moving our business, if you're interested in leading the account. I kept my voice even. I'd be more than happy to discuss a partnership through Vantage. Nathan smiled. That's what I was hoping to hear. By Friday, the deal was signed. Glenmore Tech, a $3 million account, officially moved to Vantage Strategies. And that's when things started to unravel. For Megan, I didn't reach out to her. I didn't have to. Seattle's business world isn't that big, especially in consulting. By Monday, I started getting texts from former colleagues, from clients, from people I barely knew. Did you really land Glenmore at Vantage? Megan's been in meetings all morning. Word is she's losing it. HR's scrambling. 2 more clients are looking to switch. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I got a message I didn't expect. It was from Tina, Stonebridge's receptionist, one of the kindest people I'd worked with. Megan just sent a company-wide email, blaming you for client losses. She said you breached confidentiality. She's trying to make you look bad. I stared at the message, my chest tightening. So Megan hadn't just fired me. She was trying to burn my name on the way out. I felt the old anger rise. for a second. Then I smiled. Because Megan Turner had just made a mistake. A big one. I wasn't worried about the gossip. I wasn't even worried about my reputation. I had signed a clean employment agreement with Vantage. I had no non-compete with Stonebridge. And Glenmore had approached me, not the other way around. But Megan? She'd just put false accusations in writing, company-wide. That wasn't just petty. That was grounds for legal action. And I knew exactly how to handle people like Megan Turner. Because some people think loyalty means silence. Some people think power means control. And some people learn the hard way what happens when you cross the line. I took a deep breath. Then I forwarded Tina's message to Hannah Price with a short note. Thought you should see this. Hannah replied 5 minutes later. Let's talk Monday morning. And Laura, you did the right thing. Megan thought she'd buried me. She had no idea. I was just getting started. Monday morning, I walked into Vantage Strategies with a calm I hadn't felt in years. Hannah Price waved me into her office before I even sat down at my desk. She closed the door behind us. I read the email Tina forwarded. I also spoke with legal. I nodded, sitting across from her. Hannah's expression was cool, professional, but her eyes flashed with something sharper. Megan Turner crossed a line. Defamation, written accusations, targeting a former employee in front of active clients. That's not just bad form. That's actionable. I leaned forward slightly. I didn't want to start a war. Hannah smiled. You didn't. She did. We'll handle it. That afternoon, Vantage's legal counsel sent a formal letter to Stonebridge and Company. A cease and desist, professional, director, unmistakable. Stonebridge was warned to retract the defamatory statements Megan had made, or face legal action for slander and tortious interference. It wasn't personal, it was business. But Megan? She'd made it very personal. The fallout began within 48 hours. I didn't have to reach out to anyone. Clients started reaching out to me. Laura, is it true you're with Vantage now? We'd love to work with you. We're rethinking our contract with Stonebridge. Maybe you could introduce us to your new firm? Turns out, when you treat employees like disposable parts, clients notice. And when those employees leave, so does the business. By Friday, Hannah pulled me aside again. 3 new clients signed this week, all from your former roster. She tapped a folder on her desk. And Glenmore Tech just increased their contract by 20%. They're adding a digital strategy project. I blinked. What? Hannah smiled. They said working with you restored their confidence. Seems Megan underestimated your value. We don't. That should have been enough. A clean break, a fresh start, a quiet victory. But Megan wasn't done, because bullies never are. The following Monday, Tina sent me another message. HR meeting this morning. Megan's under investigation. Apparently, she told upper management you poached clients. Now, Glenmore's CEO sent a letter to Stonebridge, clearing your name. It's bad. Like, really bad. I read the message twice. A cold weight settled in my chest. I hadn't asked Glenmore for anything, but they'd gone out of their way to defend me. That spoke louder than anything I could have done myself. The story spread fast in the consulting world. Stonebridge's leadership launched an internal review. Megan's decisions and behavior were suddenly under a magnifying glass. And once people started looking, they didn't like what they saw. Megan had burned through half the senior staff in under 2 years. Client retention was at an all-time low. Employee turnover was spiking. Her leadership style, the one she thought made her untouchable, had become a liability. I got a call from Robert Stone himself, the founder of Stonebridge, long retired. I hadn't spoken to him since the early days. Laura. His voice was calm but firm. I want you to know, I'm deeply sorry for how you were treated. This isn't the company I built. I wasn't sure what to say. Thank you, Robert. He hesitated. I'm stepping back in, temporarily. The partners asked me to consult on certain leadership matters. I hope it's not too late to fix what's been broken. I believed him, but I also knew. Sometimes you can't fix something that doesn't want to be fixed. A week later, the official announcement hit the business journals. Stonebridge and Company announces leadership restructuring. Megan Turner departs effective immediately. No flowery language, no spin, just a quiet corporate exit. But in this industry, everyone knew what that meant. She wasn't stepping down. She was being pushed out. I didn't celebrate. There was no victory dance, just a quiet sense of closure. Megan Turner had fired me, humiliated me, and tried to destroy my reputation. And now? She'd lost everything she thought made her powerful. Because here's the truth. Loyalty works both ways. And when you weaponize loyalty against people, don't be surprised when it blows up in your face. I thought that was the end of it. But I was wrong. Because Megan wasn't done with me yet. I thought it was over. Megan Turner had been fired. Stonebridge and Company was scrambling to clean up the mess she left behind. I'd moved on, thriving at Vantage Strategies, with clients who respected me and a team that valued my work. But people like Megan, they don't go quietly. It started with a LinkedIn notification. Megan Turner viewed your profile. Harmless, right? Except 2 days later, I got a call from a recruiter I'd known for years. Hey, Laura, off the record. Did you know Megan's been asking around about you? She's spreading rumors that you violated confidentiality agreements. My stomach turned. Megan wasn't just bitter. She was trying to blacklist me. And in a tight-knit industry like consulting, one bad whisper can follow you for years. I sat in my office staring at the city skyline. I could have ignored it, hoped it would blow over, focused on my work and let her fade into irrelevance. But then I remembered what my dad used to say. You don't teach people a lesson by letting them think they got away with it. I didn't retaliate. I didn't send angry emails. I didn't stoop to Megan's level. I gathered facts. Every message, every rumor confirmed by recruiters, every traceable action Megan had taken. Hannah and Vantage's legal team reviewed everything. And then, they contacted the Pacific Northwest Consulting Association, the industry body that oversees ethical conduct for member firms and consultants. Turns out, Megan had violated their code of conduct. Repeatedly. Defamation, malicious interference, professional misconduct. They opened a formal investigation. 2 months later, Megan Turner's name was officially removed from the association's registry. In simple terms, she was blacklisted. No major firm in the region would touch her after that. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. Because this wasn't revenge. It was accountability. A few weeks after the announcement, I got a message. A short clipped email from Megan herself. Congratulations. You got what you wanted. I stared at it for a long time before typing back. What I wanted was to work in a place where respect goes both ways. What you wanted was control. We both got what we earned. I hit send. No more. No less. That was the last time I ever heard from Megan Turner. Over the next year, I grew my client portfolio at Vantage beyond anything I'd imagined. Glenmore Tech, Silverline Industries, Harper Logistics, accounts that trusted me, not because I chased approval, but because I earned respect. Hannah promoted me to Director of Client Partnerships before my first anniversary. 35% salary increase, equity participation, flexible schedule, all the things I'd begged for at Stonebridge. Given freely by people who saw value where Megan saw a pawn. One evening, over drinks with Hannah and the leadership team, we talked about leadership and how it can make or break a company. I told them the truth. I stayed at Stonebridge for 5 years, hoping loyalty would pay off. All it did was teach me that loyalty means nothing to people who don't value it. Hannah raised her glass. And now? I smiled. Now I know loyalty's not something you owe. It's something you choose, when it's earned. We clinked glasses. I never thought I'd be grateful for Megan Turner, but in a way, I was. She taught me a lesson I'd carry with me for the rest of my career, and maybe my life. Loyalty isn't about blind obedience. It's about mutual respect. And the moment respect ends, loyalty becomes a cage. I built a career I was proud of, not because I stayed silent, but because I walked away when silence meant losing myself. Some stories don't end with revenge. They end with freedom. And that is the most satisfying ending of all.